You can spend quite a lot of time tidying up your form. I've just spent a few minutes just moving a few bits and pieces around. You can leave yours as you are or tidy them up and get practice. So I tidied it up. Let's move on. One of the first things that we want to do now is to change our gender option, our radio button, so that we have 3 different types. If we double click that control, we can open up the properties for that control. We've got the name, the labels and the values, the default selection, styles, and the database association. Now, the database association is interesting because it shows that we are linking to our MP patient table and the column is gender, and we can set and remove that if we want to. Styles, we're happy with, well, we might not be happy with vertical. We'll probably go horizontal. We'll come back to that in a moment. We can make it visible or invisible. Very often you'll have hidden controls that within code you then change this property to make it visible. I can make it disabled, which means it would be grayed and the user wouldn't be able to do anything. All pages we'll look at the moment, that's for use with the tab control. And we can auto size the width and the height and right anchors and bottom anchors. We're not going to worry about those for the moment. We also have the ability to add events to this control. Again, we're not going to want any at the moment, and I'll come to that in a moment when we start doing some buttons and things. So for now, what I want to do is to change the gender, because we don't want that. So we'll just remove that out using the delete key, and we'll have male, and we'll come down and we'll have female, and down, and we'll have unknown. Now I'm just using the arrow key to find my way around this particular interface. It's just automatically drop male in for me. Well, I don't want that. I just want M, come down, F, and U as my options. And when we're done, we can just simply click OK. Now that's overlaid our comments control, which is now making things look a little bit untidy. So what I could do is I could move the comments around, or I can go back into the properties for that particular control, set it to horizontal, and I think that works quite nicely if we just have it like that. Now if we were to test run that, you'll see that the male option is selected here. We might be running a female clinic, for instance. So what I can do is to double click on the control and go into the default selection and just change that to female. And you can select any one. You can only select one because with the radio it's either one or the other. It can't be a mixture. All controls have a property sheet, and that includes the window. So if we were to double click on an area of the window, we can bring up the window properties. The window is called Untitled, and I think what we'll do is we'll change that to clinic. It all goes in uppercase. You can see the style, actually the name will change to MP underscore. Remember, I always prefix my entities with MP underscore so I can find them quickly in the repository and I'm not going to bump. Do I want to have a title on my window? Yes, I do, and that will just simply be clinic. And I can set a frame thin, thick, dialogue. Thin means you wouldn't be able to resize it, thick means you would, and dialogue means it's obviously a dialogue window. System is whether I have my system menu. Yes, I want to have that. Whether you want to show a maximize and a minimize box on your form. Whether your form is visible. You can add a background color, have multiple instances of this window or just the one. And I can also set to show horizontal and vertical scroll bars as needed. I can enable the system button bar if I want to, and I could set this so that it's a dialog box. I could also assign an icon entity to change this icon on the window. So I can either create a new entity from here, or I can click the drop down and I don't know, just choose calendar. And also with the bitmap window, we could have a bitmap behind the window if you wanted to. I don't want to do that, so we'll just click OK. And you'll see now that I've got my little icon has changed, and I've got my toolbar. So save, delete, send it to trash can, whatever. Now I don't particularly like all of those, so I'm just going to go back in. I'm going to turn off the button bar, and also I'm going to remove the icon. I'm quite happy to use the system one for the moment. Actually, think about it, clinic isn't a great name for this because my whole application is going to be clinic. This one is where we're actually putting patient entry data in. So let's just go back and change that to patient entry, because that makes a little bit more sense within our application. And we'll click OK. Now in addition, I might want to have more room for my comments. There's quite a lot of room here, but we might be building up a big list. So let's go back into the properties and we'll change the number of pages to 2 and we'll click OK. Now this introduces our slide bar and we can click that to go down to the second page. And what I want to do is I want to select my comments, so we'll do that now, and we can either cut, copy, so I'll cut that now, drop down to the second page and edit and paste. And remember, you can use the shortcuts as well, and we'll just move those components up a bit. Pressing the shift and arrow button moves them up a little bit faster, so I'll move that to the top, and we'll just set this to resize downwards. So we've got a nice big window for our comments now. Okay, now that we've got a bit more space to work with, what I might do actually is to drag these controls down to the bottom here. So just align those. We'll realign these to the left to keep ourselves consistent, so Control L. And we'll just move these over here slightly, select the date of birth and Control L so that we bring those controls back together. We'll just make sure these are still aligned top, which they are. And then what we can do for later on, it might be quite nice to have a picture of the patient. So what I can do is click on the bitmap button and I can just simply click and drag and drop a bitmap placeholder. We won't do anything with that at the moment, but one of the things that I will do is just drop in an edit line into here, and we'll resize that to be the same size as the bitmap, and we'll have it the same height as the town. And a bit later on we'll add in a path to the bitmap and tie those two together, but we'll keep that for another lesson.